Everyone knows about the Bermuda Triangle, the strange region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, where a large number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Well, believe it or not, the Richest fans, there is another triangular-shaped region where people go missing in the frigid U.S. state of Alaska. Are those that go missing there simply succumbing to nature's wrath, or is there something more sinister at play? There are some pretty wild theories out there. Grab your parkas and strap on your hiking boots. We're headed to Alaska. Let's get started. Welcome to Alaska, the frontier state. We bet you didn't realize that the state of Alaska is the largest of all 50 of the United States. At more than 663,000 square miles, it's actually larger than Texas, California, and Montana combined. Not only that, but most of it, around 95%, is uninhabited wilderness full of endless acres of lush green woods, literally millions of lakes, frozen glacier ice, mountains taller than anywhere else on the continent, thousands of miles of coastal rainforest, and vast permafrost-covered marshlands. Within all of this untouched wilderness is a mysterious triangular-shaped region where somehow people seem to go missing at a very, very high rate. The Alaska Triangle, sometimes even referred to as Alaska's Bermuda Triangle, connects the state's largest city of Anchorage in the south, to Juneau in the southeast panhandle, to Barrow, a small town on the state's north coast. This region became one of particular interest after one of the most famous Alaska Triangle disappearances occurred back in 1972. It was then that a small airplane carrying two important U.S. politicians, House Majority Leader Hale Boggs and Alaska's own Congressman Nick Begich, mysteriously vanished while flying from Anchorage to the state capital of Juneau. The search for the missing plane lasted 39 days and employed the help of hundreds of aircraft and ships and even help from the Coast Guard. No signs of the missing plane or its passengers were ever found. One conspiracy theory suggests that the crash was intentional and that it was covered up by J. Edgar Hoover, then head of the FBI, who apparently had a personal grudge he held against Boggs. Since then, however, more planes have gone down. Hikers have gone missing. Alaskan residents and tourists all seem to continue to vanish without a trace. According to one source, more than 16,000 people have disappeared in the Alaska Triangle since 1988 alone. That's more than twice the national average. These numbers never seem to get any lower. In any given year, anywhere between 500 and 2,000 people go missing in the Alaska Triangle, never to be seen again. Hundreds of rescue missions always come up short. Have the thousands of people who have disappeared in the Alaska Triangle simply succumbed to the elements? It seems like the likeliest answer, but there are actually several rather unconventional theories out there that say otherwise. Let's take a look at a few. One rather unusual theory is the one that suggests that the Alaskan wilderness is actually populated with all kinds of scary creatures unknown to science, the so-called Alaska monsters. For instance, legend has it that Alaska is home to a vicious canine known as a wahila, or the saber wolf, supposedly significantly larger than your average wolf and covered in white fur. Native legends describe the saber wolf as an evil spirit with supernatural powers. Also present are tales of an unusually large and highly aggressive bear with golden-colored fur dubbed the Northern Giant. It is believed to be an ancient species that should have been long extinct. Other reports have surfaced of giant Alaskan tigers. Supposedly they are pure white in color at birth, but legend suggests they will grow one dark stripe for every human they claim for supper. Perhaps most incredible is the legend of the Otter Man. Known locally as Kushtaka, this creature is supposedly a shapeshifter, capable of morphing into any form it chooses in order to stalk its prey. Though any one of these cryptic creatures would be a formidable threat to any unsuspecting explorer, many people are wholly convinced that those who go missing in the Alaska Triangle have had an unfortunate run-in with perhaps the most famous cryptic creature in North America, Bigfoot. Believers claim there is significant evidence of the existence of the legendary large bipedal ape-like creature in Alaska, including alleged nesting sites, hair samples, and even possible skeletons. Many believe that the creature inhabits the coastal rainforest in the state's southeastern region, near the bottom of the mysterious triangle. Dense, remote, and teeming with wildlife, Alaska's coastal rainforest provides millions of acres of the perfect habitat for an elusive Sasquatch, so they say. Though most people assume Bigfoot is simply a legend, recently declassified documents have revealed that the FBI has kept a file on the beast for decades. In fact, we've got a whole other video on it. When you're finished here, check it out using the link in the description. Back to the Alaska Triangle. Many of these local legends are attributed to a group of indigenous people known as the Tlingits. Their name translates to people of the tides, and these locals have a history in Alaska dating back 11,000 years. Though they spent millennia as hunter-gatherers, very few Tlingit people still practice this way of life. However, some that continue the lifestyle of their ancestors still tell tall tales of evil spirits that live in the Alaskan wilderness. Most of these tales involve animals or things in nature that play tricks on humans to lead them to their eventual doom. For instance, the aforementioned otter man is said to morph into a child pleading for help. Every culture has its myths and legends. Could the folktales of the Tlingits be behind the mystery of the triangle? Most modern people will dismiss such stories as merely legends with no validity. However, here's one mystery of the Alaska Triangle that has some merit to it. In 1986, a Japanese plane was flying from Iceland to Anchorage, straight through the heart of the triangle, when, according to the veteran pilot Kenjui Terauchi, not one, not two, but 3 unidentified flying objects followed the airliner for approximately 400 miles. One of the objects was said to be twice the size of an aircraft carrier, while the other 2 were smaller in size. The pilot himself described them as, quote, 2 small ships and the mothership, end quote, that disappeared and reappeared quickly, moving fast and stopping suddenly, moves that are impossible for any known aircraft. Even air traffic controllers on the ground made official reports of the 3 large objects appearing on their radar systems. To avoid the UFOs, the pilot received permission from the ground crew to fly at a lower altitude while trying to outmaneuver the objects. Eventually, the UFOs disappeared after about 30 minutes. Astonishingly, the FBI itself has files on UFO sightings in Alaska from as far back as the 1940s. So, did this airliner come dangerously close to becoming an Alaska Triangle statistic by way of something otherworldly? As if theories of UFOs weren't strange enough, some believe the Alaska Triangle is located inside something known as a vile energy vortex. These vile vortices are said to be swirling centers of concentrated energy full of electromagnetic anomalies. Similar vortices are believed to also be present in not only the Bermuda Triangle, but also Easter Island, Stonehenge, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, and elsewhere. These energy vortices are believed to have adverse effects on the human body, affecting mental states as well as physical health, causing hallucinations and visions, even confusion and disorientation. Some even believe that these electromagnetic anomalies are also responsible for the often reported malfunction of electrical instruments like compasses. Stranger still are those who believe that a vile vortex opens a doorway into another dimension, trapping those who enter. Though these theories are usually dismissed by credible science, the supposed physical effects could explain why so many enter the Alaska Triangle and never return. Now that we've run the gamut on theories that are more likely pseudoscience than not, let's address what is the most likely answer to the question of why so many go missing in the Alaska Triangle. As we mentioned earlier, Alaska is a very big place, over 100 million square miles big. That's 100 million square miles of mostly uninhabitable, unforgiving wilderness. Hazardous terrain, harsh weather conditions, and the threat of dangerous wild animals like wolves, grizzly bears, and even polar bears are all quite capable of making inexperienced hikers lose their way. The weather conditions alone are a likely culprit. Temperatures in some areas of Alaska can get as low as a brutal -40 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter. Truly, surviving the Alaskan wilderness is no walk in the park. Unfortunately for those who do get lost, getting found has proved to be nearly impossible for the local authorities. To date, Alaska has more reports of missing people than anywhere else in the United States, with a vast majority of those cases happening within the Triangle. Unfortunately, the state also has the largest number of missing people who are never found again. Statistically speaking, 1 in 4 people in Alaska are missing. Quite the sobering fact, whether they're visiting or native to the state's small towns and villages. Some are said to venture into the Alaskan tundra with nothing to lose, hoping perhaps to get lost on purpose. Whatever the reason, the fact that so many go missing within the 3 points of the triangle remains a baffling mystery. Despite those numbers, despite the vast uncharted wilderness, despite unpredictable weather, the threat of wild animals, volcanoes, or even mythical monsters, the tourism industry in Alaska is still booming. In fact, it's been growing for years. According to one website, tourism in Alaska grew 5% in 2017 compared to the previous year, and it continues to grow. Given the sheer majestic beauty of the region, it's easy to see why. Alaska boasts a state park system spacing over 3 million acres, more than any other state. It's also home to 8 national parks. Any of these locations is teeming with breathtaking vistas, unpolluted air, and diverse wildlife. It's more than enough to draw the attention of even the amateur lover of the great outdoors. It's clear that the Alaska Triangle is a very mysterious area where a staggering number of people, planes, and even boats have gone missing over the years. We've taken you through some bizarre theories like UFOs, Sasquatches, shapeshifters, and electromagnetic abnormalities. We've explained that the most likely cause is the pure harshness of the region itself. No matter what you believe, however, the Alaska Triangle remains an unsolved mystery riddled with unanswered questions, most of which may never be answered. Would you pack up your gear and head out into the Alaskan wilderness? Do you believe any of the wild theories about mischievous evil spirits? Let us know your answers to these questions in the comments below. Don't forget to check out that video on the FBI's Bigfoot files, and you may also like our video on the explorer who returned with chilling information on the deepest cave on Earth. The links to both of these are in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and thanks for checking out The Richest. We'll see you next time.